So if you watch the testimony, my opening statement I may have come across as a bit angry, and that's because about 20 minutes before the testimony started in the green room, I walked up to a gentleman and introduced myself. I didn't realize who he was. It was the Undersecretary of Defense for Personnel and Manning, James Stewart. I didn't know who he was. I said my hellos, and we shook hands, and I asked if he was there for the Department of Defense, and he said he was. And so I physically turned away from him. I had lost interest in speaking with him that day. Myself and Captain Olivia Stellick were standing there, and he looked over at us, and he said, "This should be fun today." And the reason that I brought up that we weren't wearing uniforms and that Vice Admiral Bono was is because in my mind at that point, and I think accurately so, he was representing the interests of the Department of Defense. And the Department of Defense's official position, according to the Undersecretary of Defense for Manning and Personnel Readiness, is now that testifying before Congress with the intent to discharge 15,000 service members to him is fun. That's their description. And so I was pretty angry going into that, and the testimony, I think, that was terrible with these 5-minute conversations where you feel like you can never really have a discussion. And then I listened to the testimony of Vice Admiral Bono and Mr. Stewart after that. I think it was accurately reported that, unfortunately, they were very misleading in their testimony. And I think that not advocating from a position of a political position about what I think about their testimony or how I feel about it, I think it is accurate to say that their testimony was misleading and inaccurate. And you could see them, I think, running out of positions to go to. Initially, the cost of trans service members and the care was brought up. You saw in the film was estimated to be $8 million a year. It actually turned out to be closer to $2.5 million a year, so $8 million over 3 years. The cost of Viagra over that same period was $140 million, and the cost to our Army band was over $1 billion. Then they talk about readiness, and we know that all 5 of the service chiefs have come out and said that this has no readiness on morale, impact, or anything else. And then they went to the readiness issue, and they inaccurately described how long a trans person is non-deployable for, saying it was in excess of a year and that it was different than most service members, which is completely inaccurate. The average trans service member is non-deployable for around 4 months compared to a pregnancy, which is closer to 16. And they also revealed that they're inaccurately counting their healthcare visits because they require you to see a healthcare provider to receive trans care. And then they say that trans people are receiving more mental health visits than anyone else. So they're creating their own arguments. And they also started counting if you go to a support group, because often the behavioral health hosts the support group in their space. So they were counting that as a mental health visit. So as you listen to them, you just realize it's unfortunate, really, that the basis for this policy can only end in discrimination. All the other arguments, I think, during that testimony really washed away. There just wasn't anything left. And that was almost disheartening because some part of you sort of hopes that there is a basis for this policy, that their interest really is in protecting national security and providing for the common defense. But that testimony, I think, finally showed that there just isn't anything there except discrimination.